Welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means. The other two are just along for the ride. Taylor, say hi.
Hey,
Tyler, wow, my
yeah, I
bad.
was like, come on, Aaron.
My,
How's it going?
I'm on fumes right now, man. I'm on fumes. Tyler, Frank, say what's up.
How's it going, guys?
We are joined by Frank Duncan of the Rockies organization, played with the Hartford Yard Goats, the Albuquerque Isotopes last year, and just really kind of solidified his name on the radar. I'm saying that. You never told me that. I'm putting that out there. I was not really familiar with your story. I saw your name come up a few times last year. Frank Duncan's doing this, Frank Duncan's doing that. Like your first start in Albuquerque, you went like 6 scoreless, something ridiculous. So it's cool that you're sitting here talking to us. What are you doing this off season right now to prepare?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me on, guys. That's a good question. Right now, I'm actually down in Scottsdale, Arizona. So I spend most of my off season in Kansas City. I am training and throwing at a facility called Premier Baseball. And from there, like with the lockout, I'm sure that you could talk for hours and hours on the lockout, but right now for me, I thought the best thing that I could do is be down here and throwing with the coaches that are available that are here at the spring training facility. And so after a few months off of after playing winter ball, I came down here and I've just been throwing and working out here down in Scottsdale.
Okay. So I want to dive into that piece. So you are from San Francisco, the Bay Area. You went to Kansas for school. Is that what took you back to Kansas City?
Yeah, so I was born and raised in San Francisco. I didn't have too many college offers out of college, but KU offered me a recruited walk-on spot. And for me, getting out of San Francisco on the West Coast was interesting to me, and getting to play in the Big 12 where you're playing against Texas, you're playing against Texas A&M, TCU, all these big schools, like that was something that was really interesting to me. And I came from a very small school in San Francisco, so that's why I did that. And then since then, my senior year, going into my senior year, I met my fiance, and we've been together for 9 years. So, yeah, so that's that, and she's from Kansas City. So
Okay.
it's also much cheaper to live in Kansas City, trust me, than just in San Francisco.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what has me stuck out there. And and then when the season comes, we kind of bounce around wherever we need to be.
Okay, that all makes sense. That makes sense. 2 quick questions on that. You're in Scottsdale. I want to go back to that. Did you go to Waste Management?
Yeah, we went to the Waste Management a couple days. It was actually really cool on Sunday. So I'm a 49ers fan, and my fiance is a Chiefs fan.
Okay.
And so we had a tough championships games. And so when both of our teams got eliminated, we're like, well, that's the Super Bowl doesn't really interest me anymore, especially the Rams. I don't want to watch the Rams win. And so we went on Sunday, and we actually we were standing right off 18 when they had the 3 playoff holes. It was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Did you see
it's a
Aaron
crazy
Rodgers?
sporting event. It's a crazy sporting event.
Did you see Aaron Rodgers in passing?
I didn't go to the Pro-Am day.
Okay.
And I'm glad I didn't. I'd probably tell him to cut his hair because that's a tough look. That's not his best look.
It's getting there, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
he's a popular name right now for Rockies fans, with everyone, like every prayer in their body for him to come to Denver.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like I said, I'm a 49er fan, so there's been talk about Aaron Rodgers trying to go to San Francisco too.
Yeah.
And now we got Tom Brady. It's like at the end of the day, like who really knows,
Right. I say that as a Packers fan. Like, I want him to stay in Green Bay, and I absolutely hate the 49ers because you guys have just demolished us in the playoffs every single year, and it sucks. It absolutely sucks. I hate seeing the 49ers name come up on that.
I think the ones that sting the most, at least I would imagine, are the ones when we go to Lambeau and beat you guys.
This year, man.
I don't know how they do it in that cold weather, but they keep doing it. So it's like, all right, we'll take it.
So it's so stupid. It aggravates me. Like I even called it. It's like San Francisco is going to beat the Packers. It's just a foregone conclusion because it's the playoffs and it's these two teams. But anyway, the second question I wanted you, what was your lifestyle adjustment from the Bay Area to Lawrence, Kansas? I imagine I grew up in Nebraska, so I'm familiar with the flat Midwest cold and small town life and all that. So I'm sure there had to have been an adjustment period.
I mean, just a little bit, like I think realistically, the biggest thing for me was there was a winter, in San Francisco. It's not very warm in San Francisco where I was born and raised. So it's like, it was a warm day in San Francisco is like 70, 75, a cold day is also like maybe like 45, 50. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty mild. But then when you get to Lawrence, I think my first winter there, like walking from the dorms to go work out at 7 a.m, and it'd be like -10 wind chill. It wasn't my favorite thing to do, but and that's another big reason why I came down early this spring training. It's one thing when you're working out and throwing somewhere where it's freezing, but when you get down here, it's 75 and sunny every day. Your body feels pretty good.
Yeah. It's definitely a game changer. It just feels better. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I do not miss those flat Midwest winters. Those wind chills were ridiculous. Absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your career. Your story, as we were diving into this, like I said at the beginning, wasn't really too familiar with you before this year started. Got to know a little bit more about you as the 21 season went on. Then I really dove into it for this interview, and you've been everywhere, man. You're like that commercial, that hotel commercial. Let's just start at the beginning and work our way through it, I guess. University of Kansas, you 2013, 2014 drafted, but you had a huge jump in numbers from 2013 to 14.
Yes.
What adjustments did you make? The injury? I'm assuming there was an injury.
Yeah, I think so. My like I said, I wasn't like a really top recruit coming out of college or out of high school. And so I had very minimal college offers. And so KU offered me, I was like, this is going to be an opportunity to either get better at baseball or enjoy playing at a big school. And so I went there. My freshman year, I was the setup guy and then closer. And that was kind of out of nowhere. Like when I got to KU, I was maybe throwing 80, 83, 85 my freshman fall. I was 6'3", but I was like 170. It's like I was just tall and skinny. Never lifted a weight. Finally started lifting when I was at KU. Then my freshman spring, I came out and I was 88, 90. I could always kind of move the ball around and mix my pitches in the zone, which has benefited me. But I pitched well my freshman year, came back my sophomore year as the Friday night guy. Pitched really well. We were our team didn't do super great, so that was tough. It's never fun to pitch well and then not have the results that you want. But and then I came back my junior year, and going into my junior year, I hurt my shoulder, tore my labrum, and I missed the entire fall and came back right around like Christmas. And, like I think having the fall and building your delivery and building your consistency is big. Mm-hmm. And so the junior year was just kind of thrown off for me, and it was a bummer. It was really tough, but I came back my senior year, I bounced back, I pitched well. And then just continuing to go forward, the Pirates drafted me in the 13th round. As a senior, and I was ecstatic. I was happy to go there. The Pirates, same thing. Like, when you're drafted in the 13th round as a senior, like, you're not really sure what to expect when you get there. But I've always kind of hung my hat on pitchability and being able to eat innings, and in pro ball, that's been kind of the thing that's stuck me around the most. I played it in short season in the New York Penn League. in 2014, right after I got drafted. The next year I skipped low A and went to high A in Bradenton. I pitched, I thought I pitched pretty well in Bradenton. If you look at the numbers, I don't know if it would dictate that well. I didn't walk a lot of guys, a lot of balls in play, a lot of hits, but like I said, I 8 innings. And then the biggest jump I made was from that high A to double A year, and then triple A in 16, where I was a triple A all-star. And that was big because, things just kind of clicked. I started throwing a little harder. I was using my sinker more, and I was pitching, with some of the best guys in the game. Our rotation in Indy that year was like Steven Brawl, Tyler Glasnow, Chad Kuhl, Jameson Tyon, like all those guys were making their debuts. And those guys are obviously, like dudes, like those guys are number one guys anywhere they're going to go. And so it's fun, like getting to learn and work with them and getting better at what I needed to do. And then the next year I got going into spring training, I was going to big league camp with the Pirates, and they traded me literally the day before spring training started.
Is that what happened? I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah. They invited me to big league camp, and same thing, I wanted to get down there early, work with the coaches down there. So I got down there like a month early. And I think camp started on Monday, and I threw a bullpen Friday, and I got a call from the GM. They're like, "Hey, we traded you to the Diamondbacks." I was like, "Oh, okay, good. That's great."
That had to have been. How did you take that? So your mental on that, like, were you like, "Oh shit, really? Like, I got that call. I've been working for this moment. Here I am." And then it felt like 2 steps back. Like, how did you get through that?
If anything, it was like in the moment, it was tough, because like I came up with the Pirates. I had a lot of good friends with the Pirates. The Pirates, I contribute a lot of my success to me having gotten better, and getting to pitch at a high level and pitch well at a high level. And so when they traded me, it was the first thing I was like, oh man, like I really liked Pittsburgh. Everything I did with the Pirates was really cool. But then and then it settles on you, and you're like, whoa, okay, well, like there was actually a team out there that there was a trade that come up, whether it was the Pirates were like, hey, we really want this guy, who do you want? Or whether they're like, hey, we really want Frank, like, something like that, where it was like my name was in talks for guys that they thought would help at a big league level, and I was traded for Phil Gosselin, who's a big league bench guy. I think he was with the Phillies last year, or maybe the Braves. But yeah, I mean, it was one of those things. It was tough at first, but then you realize like this opportunity is really big for you. And the Diamondbacks in 16 had the worst starting pitching staff in the game of baseball. So everybody was like, hey, dude, you're going to do it. Like, this is the year. And then I get there and they've got the best pitching staff of baseball. So it was a tough, that was a really hard year. And I think you can tell by my numbers where I was just kind of not the same. I think one of the big things that I try to help teach like younger kids and guys who are coming up now is like you are not you can't rely on coaches always to have like the key to your success. Because when I was with the Pirates, like if something was going wrong, I knew that there was a coach that could tell me exactly what it was. When I got traded, it was like all of that information, like they don't share it with the team that you get traded to. Like, it's just, okay, we traded for you, go do what you do. And you're like, okay, well then things don't start going your way. And you're like, okay, well, I think this is what I was doing last year that made me so good, and then slowly things start falling apart instead of like, hey, like so you have to become your own coach, your own best coach, and that was a big learning lesson for me that year.
Right. So you're adjusting just everything about what you're doing, and you're adjusting to new teams, new teammates, to new coaches, and you're trying to figure all that out while still literally zero time to kind of ease into that situation. Like there's no way that's easy. and you're playing for the Diamondbacks, which just sucks in general too, as a Rockies podcast. So how cool was it to get that spring training, that big league spring training call though? Like, how was that different than your like normal minor league spring training call?
I mean, it was really cool. You know, like you're those first. I think the first month was really cool because before you even start games, you're working out and playing catch every day with big league guys and guys that have done it at a really high level. I know that spring training, like Zach Greinke was in camp with us. Fernando Rodney was in camp with us. Paul Goldschmidt, like guys like just some like really cool like names and like guys that are really have been doing great for all of baseball. And so when you're getting to like kind of rub shoulders and like kind of learn from them, you know, you kind of be a sponge and soak it all up. And, you know, if they say one thing out of like the 50 things that they say, but that one thing might help you, you know, help you put you over the top. So that's huge, you know?
Yeah. It only takes one.
Exactly.
Does Zach Greinke ever say anything to you?
I mean, he's an interesting guy, you know. It's like
right.
you see his interviews, like he's very much like that. He's very sticks to himself. And like the same that for me, a guy who literally just joined the organization like last week, you know, it was like I wasn't gonna be like, hey, what's up, Zach? Like that wasn't probably like that wasn't in the cards for me. But it was cool watching him go about like the things that watching him go about the way he approaches the game and the way he approaches his starts and stuff. And it's very, very cerebral. You know, he's obviously very smart, and the results that he has, obviously, that's why he's as good as he is.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. I just had to ask because it's that great.
No, I think it's great. Yeah.
The quirks.
Yeah. Take us through that next phase, though. Like you spent some time with Arizona, and then after the 2017 season, you're on the move again, like having to figure things out, starting from scratch once more.
Yeah. So, I mean, 2016 was obviously probably my worst year in professional baseball. Or I'm sorry, 2017 was my worst year in professional baseball.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where it was just really hard, and like I could like when things are not going your way, you're continuously trying to find it, you know, and sometimes finding it, things are like that. You're what you think is finding it is obviously you're just going downhill. So that whole year was just kind of things were slowly progressing in a downhill trajectory. And then I came back in spring training next year with the Diamondbacks, and like things had gotten to a really bad point with my mechanics, my delivery, everything was just kind of like not very sharp, and it was where I thought I needed to be, but it was like if I just would have looked at it better, and I would have had the coaches around me to help me understand like this is not where you were, like we need to get back to where you were. Maybe I would have made the rebound a little quicker, but then that whole year in 2017 or 2018 was tough because I got released again by the Diamondbacks. And so that was tough because we're here in spring training, and you get released, and you're like, all right, well, do I go home? Maybe wait if I can get another job, or like, what do I do? What's the next step? And that was my first time being released. And that was tough because that first time you get released, you're like, shoot, man, like what do I do?
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully the Dodgers called me and they're like, hey, like, we've got to, like, we need some depth in our rotation AA. Like, are you here? Can you come pitch? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. So I signed with them. I went to extended spring training with them for a couple of weeks. And then they sent me to AA, and I was pitching there. And the same thing, you know, I was competing, you know, but I wasn't competing at the level that I had been at that I had been to. And it was purely all based on where my mechanics is where I thought they needed to be, but it was not helping me succeed. And then they released me. Then you're the second time, still not fun. and
then you're stuck in Tulsa too.
Yeah, I mean Tulsa. So actually, like Tulsa was a cool spot to play. The Drillers. I mean, it's the old Rockies AA too.
Right.
And the stadium's awesome. Town can be a little sketchy sometimes, but overall, my experience in Tulsa was great. That Texas league is a cool league. But I got released, and thankfully I was closer to Kansas City. So me and my fiance she was living with me the whole time too. So that was hard. It's harder for her than it was for me because they're paying for me to fly everywhere. She's got to drive the car.
She went through it too, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a ride or die.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And so then we just went back to Kansas City, and that's when Chris Forbes, our farm director now with the Rockies, called me in 2018, and he's like, "Hey, like we need an arm in AA." Like, so I was like, "I'm there." And next day I was on a flight AA in Hartford, and this was my first time in Hartford. And I haven't had the time to make the adjustments that I needed to, and I honestly at that point I don't know if I could have told you what adjustments I needed to make. So I was grinding, I was like, I'd have starts where I would pitch well, and then I'd have starts where I would just get it handed to me, and it was purely based on where my stuff was at. I think my fastball was like 83, 86, maybe 87. Like my slider wasn't very good. It wasn't a put away pitch. I could use my changeup more, but I mean, other than that, it was tough. And so then that off season, I felt like that offseason I started to kind of make the adjustments that I needed to make. And I came back in spring training with the Rockies in 19. And, I didn't get a chance to pitch very much in spring training. Every time I did pitch, I pitched well. So I was like, all right, well, like things are better. My velo was better. I was like, okay, like things are trending in the right direction, And then the last day of camp, they call me in and release me. And so at that point, it was like, all right, you've been released 3 times now. Like maybe like, what do we got to start thinking about next? And I felt like I was getting close again. And I thought I still needed to pitch. So that year I went and played with the Sussex County Miners and independent ball in the Can American League. And same thing. My fiance was with me the whole year, living with a host family. We got like, honestly, it was not where you want to be playing baseball, but it was like, I'm very thankful that was where I ended up to play baseball, because I created some unbelievable relationships on that team. I had more fun than I had ever had playing professional baseball. We were really good. We won games. I was pitching really well. Got to see Canada, which I had never been to Canada, which, by the way, if you ever get a chance to go to a baseball game in Quebec, you got to do it, because it's just unbelievable. And baseball in other countries, like, that's a whole nother conversation. Because like, I think, just a little sidebar, like everybody's complaining about baseball getting boring. I don't know if the United States is going about it the right way, but you go to another country, you're gonna have a blast going to a baseball game.
Been watching those winter league games on MLB TV, the Lidome stuff, and just it's absolutely insane. A few of the other guys we talked to, Venezuelan league, Puerto Rican league, and they just said it's a whole different atmosphere. Like you could only maybe have 500 people in there, but it feels like 10,000 with what goes on.
It's amazing. It really is.
Is it like that in Canada? Even quiet Canada, like has vibes.
I'm telling they get rowdy. It's more like Canada, especially, it's a baseball game's going on and they're excited for when something's going on in the baseball game. But really they're like, there's a concert before the game. There's a concert after the game. There's a beer garden at every stadium. People get there 2 hours before the game starts. Like they're listening to like a DJ or like a live band play. Everybody's having fun. Then the game starts and like everybody's having fun. Like it's a cool environment.
That's fun.
It really is. Yeah. But yeah, so after that season, I was traded to the Kansas City T-Bones, or the Kansas City Monarchs. And so I was traded to the Kansas City T-Bones, or the Kansas City Monarchs, which was really good for me, because at this point I was like, all right, I played 1 year independent ball. I pitched really well. I never got picked up. This is probably it, like at least I'll get to play closer to home now. I'll be able to have like family and friends come see me. It'll be easier for my fiance. And then this is when COVID happened. So this is 2020.
Right.
And COVID happened, and that league, everybody didn't know if they were going to play. I know they played a big league season. They didn't play a minor league season, and so like it actually turned out pretty well for me in terms that I was able to play a season and continue to like progress back to where I needed to be. And I played, so the T-Bones opted out of the season because of COVID. And then I was drafted in this draft by the Winnipeg Goldeye from Canada, like another Canadian team. But because of COVID, they were playing the entire season on the road. So we were living in a hotel. This is the first year my fiance didn't live with me while we were playing, because I was living in a hotel. So we were just traveling all across the Midwest playing baseball games. And it was another good experience. It wasn't quite as like awesome and fun as my experience was in Sussex, but I was playing baseball while no one else was, pretty much. And that was the most important part,
So going back to your Sussex times, like your journey is incredible, but did you find the love of the game there? Would you say that was kind of maybe a turning point for you?
I think, yeah, you could definitely, I mean, the love of the game, I think I've always had the love of the game. I think you realize how fortunate you are to have an affiliation when you play independent baseball. Like we didn't have a trainer all last year. Our clubbies were the people that did our laundry and coach. Like our third base coach was our hitting coach. I'm sorry, and our like bench coach were our clubbies. Like they literally grilled our food for us like before and after the games. Like it wasn't like this operation was not glamorous by any means. Like there was no way like, oh, like my back's a little sore, like can you just give me some soft tissue? Like there was none of that. And so you realize, and then you get back to like affiliate ball and you're like, you see all these guys that are like, oh man, like my back hurts, oh man, my knee hurts, like, and you're like, they're in getting treatment all day, and you're like, dude, like you get like at a certain point you either got to figure it out or like it's just going to be a long career. Like you got to be able to just make the adjustments that you need to make, and bottom line is, if can you go out and play, you can go out and play, you go play.
Work through that stuff instead of using it as an excuse and really finding that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And but like you said, I love the game. I think that year was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had playing baseball. Just because it was so relaxed.
Right.
And like there really was just a lot of things that like happened that you would never see happen in affiliate ball, and there's reasons for that, but like it is what it is. Like I don't know if you guys saw the video of the New Jersey Jackals. Like I think it was last year where there was like a player went up in the stands, was fighting because they were throwing beers. So like that was one of the teams we played. Like that was one of the crowds that we played against. Like it's the Wild West of baseball for sure.
After this, I'm gonna have to find that. That sounds like you're mixing like, I don't even know how to explain that, but that sounds like it add a whole new entertainment level to the game of baseball. Having the fans truly physically part of the game, not just, there in spirit and in support, but physically.
Yeah, exactly.
I Googled it. So the highlights show players and fans brawl at independent league's $1 beer night.
Yeah,
it makes sense.
Fan throws beer at Sussex County player. Like that could have easily been you. Yeah, July 16th. A fracas eruptus. I like the word fracas. But definitely different like baseball, different style. That makes sense.
Definitely different baseball. It was just like it was roll it out and may the best man win. Really, it was what it came down to.
Yeah.
Like that's the best way to describe it.
Well, and so you mentioned that your coaches were also kind of the clubbies. So like, what was that coaching experience like? Did you get, a lot of support and help ironing things out with your game, or was that kind of, self-driven changes?
I think it's definitely both. Like I think that when you're an independent ball, like it is purely like on you to figure out what's going to help you click, because there's no one sitting there over you telling you like, all right, we're going to run this today, or this is what our lift's going to be today. You have to do that all on your own and figure out what works for you, which is huge. Luckily our manager in Sussex was the pitching coach as well, Bobby Jones. And I think he was a Rocky actually at one point too, back in the day. But his approach to pitching in baseball was as school as it possibly gets. And for me, like, I'm an older guy now. I just turned 30. Like, I think I appreciate old school in terms of, like, at the end of the day, like, if you make a pitch, it doesn't matter what the spin is, what the movement was, what the anything was, is can that pitch get an out, And really, like, any pitch that you throw can get it out if it's in the right place, like, you just have to be able to miss barrels. And getting back to the old school and, like, getting out of your head of, like, all the analytics and all the mechanical adjustments you need to make, and just focusing instead of just making that one pitch, that's gonna help you in the long run. And that's what he really focused on.
So do you think that was kind of the biggest change, was, this simplification of baseball? Because, with Major League Baseball and their affiliates, they're trying to make the game very technical if they can. So was that, big for you to just, go back to, like, your primitive being, playing baseball when you're a kid, where there's none of that extra weight in your mind?
Yeah, I think that that's definitely probably where it started. I think mechanically I was still lacking. And that was still holding me back a little bit. But in terms of, like, the mindset and, like, the simplification of how to attack hitters and not trying to like be crazy, like do crazy stuff, that is where it started for sure.
So you've been mentioning mechanics, look at my mechanics throughout this whole thing. What is it? So when you say that, what do you mean by that? Are you looking at where your hands are being placed and your arm speed as you're going forward, your launch? Like, what is it? What are you looking at?
Yeah. So the mechanical adjustments, it really, for me, and, like, I'll always say this, like, I've never been a guy that had like an elite fastball. I was never throwing 100, so I've always had to rely on my pitchability. But over the last year, and really before I signed with the Rockies again last year, but like when they named me, I was prepared to go play independent ball for one more year. And I had made mechanical adjustments while playing after playing in Venezuela for winter ball. And I got with, so this is where the facility I work out at in Kansas City, it's called Premier. We had three good coaches. We got Shane Davies, Bob Zimmerman, and Eric Neeson. And Eric Neeson, who's now the pitching coordinator for the Houston Astros. And so between the three of us, we literally sat down and we're like, hey, listen, like, it's been 3 years now. Like, you've been making very minimal adjustments. Like, it's time to, like, look at the bigger picture with what you're doing, where you're inefficient, and how can we make that better. And it was really hard. It was really hard for me to make the adjustments. And I think that, like, the biggest thing that made it difficult for me was that I had always felt like, since 2016, when I pitched well for the Pirates, that my movement is what made me so good. But in reality, in baseball now, you have to be able to throw a certain mile an hour, or, like, you have to be able to throw at least in, like, the low 90s if you want to have a chance to pitch in the big leagues, And so I was like, all right, I'm not going to throw a sinker all this off season. I'm just going to throw four seams, and I'm just going to see how hard I can possibly throw. And I'm not, and, like, this, like, don't get me wrong. Like, I know there's Drive Line out there. There's the new Tread Athletics, and there's all these places that focus on, like, the velo building programs and, like, throwing the weighted balls. It wasn't like that.
Right.
For me, it was purely making sure that, like, making my arm path a little more compact. I'm not necessarily, I mean, it is shorter now, but it's not shorter to where it's like I look like I'm Giolito or somebody that's just, like, getting it up here.
Yeah.
I'm just making sure that my arm. So, like, for me, is making sure my arm is at 90 or inside 90 when my front foot gets down. And then the second part is making sure that my torso is behind the midline of my body when my front foot gets down. And then second, the last one is making sure I'm able to hold load and stay loaded in my glute with my back heel down as I'm going forward. Mm-hmm. And so like those were the three big things that were hard to buy into, you know. But I ultimately, like, I started, like, you could see it, like I can share videos with you guys later where you can be like, who the hell is this guy throwing? And then like, how are you doing this? And I was like, I just had to buy into it. And I said, screw it. This is the way it's going to go if I'm going to have one more chance. And luckily I got another chance last year with the Rockies. And like when I signed last year, I had no idea what was going to happen. I felt better than I had ever felt leading up to the season, but that none of that matters until you get in between the lines and you have to get out. So that ultimately is the only thing that matters. Mm-hmm. And I was able to do that pretty well last year. And you know, I'm back this year and hopefully I can continue to capitalize on that. But that's like you said, you never know until you get in the games.
Right. Yeah.
So compare your confidence when you're on the mound in 2016 to how it was last year. Like, were you last year kind of in that same frame of mind? Like, hey, I'm you know, really good at this. Like, this is my shit. Like, was that kind of how you were last year?
I think in 2016, I even kind of relied more on my movement, and like I never felt like I could just reach rear back and let one eat and this guy wasn't going to hit me. Last year, because I was able to like make these mechanical adjustments where I was throwing just a shade harder, my sinker was still sinking, which was, I mean, that's still always going to be my number one weapon. But like I was able to have games where like you just kind of like, it's hard to explain because you might face a guy that just tees off on everyone else. And then you get up there and you can just tell he doesn't see you very well, you know, something like I hadn't had that in a while. And I hadn't had like, okay, 2 strikes. Like I've thrown 2 good sinkers. I know if I throw a good slider here, he's got no chance. Like I hadn't had that in a long time. And I think the biggest thing is like, you look at strikeout numbers and like swing and miss, like you really can tell like where the stuff is, and based on those numbers. And for me last year, like you can look at it, it's very indicative. I'm also not going to ever oversell myself. Like I'm not going to be the one that thinks that I'm going to go out there and be invincible. You know, as soon as I start thinking that, then that's going to be a bad game for me. Like I have to go out there and understand that what I need to do and where I need to pitch to be successful. And when I can repeat that and do that, and then the ball takes care of itself.
We'll do that for you. You don't have to worry about that. You're officially one of our guys, so we will be all the good that you do. We will voice it from the mountains. But that mentality, like I love that mentality. The mentality of the players that we talk to is always cool seeing the differences, but it's always the ones that always stand out to me are like what you just said, kind of the humble, I need to go execute. I need to go do it. I know how to do it consistently and making sure my stuff plays and focusing on that. That's all that it is. Not worried about who's in the box, not worried about who the next call up is or like, why did this dude get it or not? It's just what can you do and what can you handle and go just dominate when you can and do it. And so I just appreciate that kind of mentality, the let my play speak for itself, and you will see it sooner or later.
Yeah. I think that you asked me that's going back to when I was in Sussex, you know, like I was going out there and pitching well every single time. And I ultimately like wasn't getting any calls. I wasn't getting picked up. And it comes a point where it's just like when you're playing minor league baseball, I guarantee you when you're early in your career, you get so locked up on maybe like somebody just maybe got hurt like ahead of you, like maybe you're gonna get called up, or maybe like you're not pitching so well, oh shoot, maybe like they're gonna send me down or something like that. And like as soon as you start letting that be like the outcomes that you're focused on, like it just being, it's, the game is not fun. It's just a bad way of approaching the game of baseball. You know, like if you can think of it like realistically, like no matter what hitter you're facing, whether it's I don't know, Barry Bonds or like some low like level guy, like if you execute a good pitch, like you've got a better chance of getting out. Maybe Barry Bonds was a bad example, but
yes, it was.
Take that back. But you know what I'm talking about.
The point. Yeah.
That's the point. Like if you execute, it's always going to be harder for the hitters. It's always going to be harder for the hitters, and that's just the nature of the game, you know.
Right.
So if I can execute a pitch where I want to execute it, like if I can do it 10 out of times, and he might get me one of those times, but like those are still 9 outs, you know.
Mhm.
Like that, like that's the thing. Like that, like you really just have to focus on the pitch execution, and then once that pitch is over, you're on the next one, because you start focusing on like the outside things and everything else. It becomes like I said, a not fun game.
Right. And to what you just said, I just got done looking at some numbers, writing a quick little blog piece about minimizing damage is what I called it. And your walk rates and your home run rates were like some of the lowest in the system. You don't let people on, you didn't give up the long ball like hardly at all. And so like what you just said, just go out and execute an out and out, whether it's a strikeout or a ground ball or fly ball, like you got the guy out, and that's in the end, that's all that matters. You're not letting the free passes on, and you did really good with people on base. You left them out there. Like I think it was like a 76% clip or something, which was I think 3rd or 4th in the organization. Like at least of the guys that I had. So like,
yeah,
you're doing it.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think that's those are always recipes for success. But like I don't know if you have the ability to, but like you look at my numbers in 17 with Reno, like that's probably the exact opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you just never know. And obviously, like you make, like if you're able to repeat your pitches better, you're gonna have a better chance of doing those things that you're saying. Like in 17, like I was not repeating anything well, so I wasn't able to repeat my pitches where I needed to make them. And so like literally, like you can break it down, you can see like when like that's what success looks like from those kind of numbers. And then this is what success doesn't look like. So when you're able to repeat your delivery and consistently execute a pitch, then you're gonna have more success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
However many years it is down the line that you hang up the spikes, do you want to be get into coaching in the future?
I would love to. I would love to get into coaching. I feel like one of the things that baseball lacks right now is enough coaches that can marry the old school mindset with the new school understanding of like the all the technology that's in the game right now. And I've got it. I feel like because of what I've had to go through, I know the old school mantras very well, but also I understand like you need to understand what makes you successful.
Mm-hmm.
Once you understand what makes you successful, and that's where the numbers come in. That's where the metrics come in. Is like if you look at a guy that has a very elite pitch and he's only throwing it like a low percentage of the time, you're like this pitch is very, very good. Like you need to throw this pitch more. Then ultimately, then on the other side, it's like, well, it doesn't matter if the pitch is good or bad. Like you still need to be able to go get outs. But if you have a really good pitch, it's going to help you get more outs. So like that's where you need to like kind of combine the two. And it's tough right now. Right now, it's tough. It's tough in baseball in general because you've got a lot of older guys that are just, you know, stick your nose in the ground and grind away. And then there's also on the other side, you've got organizations that are trying to marry the two. Like you look at the organizations that do it really well, you can tell, you know, they're compete every year. And they take guys that are like, like he wasn't very good the last couple of years. And now he's like one of the best pitchers in baseball. Like how does that make any sense? Oh, okay. Like they got him to do some things that he didn't know he needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. On that, like we just talked to Jordan Pacheco, and he I guess your coach, kind of not your coach, the hitting coach.
Yeah,
now,
hitting coach in AAA.
Yeah, he just got signed, and we just got done talking to him last week. And he was a journeyman. He was up and down. He did some indie ball, like he played last year, and he was pretty much exactly what you just said. Like he thinks he is going to be successful. He knows he can marry the two, like you just said. He's done the analytics, but he also has gone through some shit, and like he feels really confident in his ability to get those two things together. Exactly what you just said. And there is something about experience. It plays like it gives you that extra understanding. You now know what to look at. You now know, all right, maybe this is just a bad game, or I need to look into it. You're able to actually like dive and figure it out. So there is something to that. I hope you go into coaching afterwards down the line.
Well, I think I like to think I've got a few more years in me. So
you got plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just hitting the prime right now.
Yeah. Yeah. We're talking 10, 15 years down the line. I got you. We could keep talking, but maybe we'll just ask you to come on again later. Let's end this with some good fun questions. So we always like to end with some softball questions with our guys. And I did not go to Kansas University's profile. Usually I go to the university profile and see how you answered some, like, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite movie questions? I didn't do that today. But what are your thoughts on robo-umps? As you are aware, I'm sure, AAA.
I don't know if that's a softball question.
No, it's not. I should have said it before I gave my little speech, right? But yeah, your league, the High A West is taking on robo-umps this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a pretty big adjustment, I would say. We have this debate literally almost every day at the field. You know, like hitters are gonna hate it. No, hitters are gonna love it. Pitchers are gonna hate it. Oh no, I think the pitchers are gonna love it. And you're like I really have no idea. I've heard mixed reviews on everything. Like I've heard like you're able to get away with some pitches where you're like that's a weird pitch that shouldn't be called a strike, but now it is a strike. And then there's also like where hitters are not going to like that, you know. But then there's also ones where it's like, okay, like I can throw a fastball now like pretty high and it's a strike, but you're not always like trained to hit that pitch, you know. Same thing with the curveball you throw. Like you could start a curveball to the guy's head. If it just nicks the top of the zone, it's a strike. You know, but then obviously like you're not ever really trying to throw that pitch. So like you're trying to locate the corners where the corners are obviously going to be a lot tighter this year. I think that what it bums me out, the robo umps, because one of the things that I love in baseball, one of the nuances of baseball is having a catcher that is just so good with his glove that he's able to steal strikes. And I think that's part of the game that I don't know. Those catchers who we can all agree that catching is one of the positions where you really don't have to hit very well. And this is going to turn catching into it's going to get rid of the finer points of catching. You know, those guys who are really good at stealing strikes are just going to go by the wayside, and it's just going to be a guy who can literally knock the ball down and throw a guy out. But if he hits really well, then it doesn't really matter what he's like catching. And so that's a bummer. That is a bummer. But we'll see. I can give you guys an update once the season starts to let you know how it goes. But I'm not overly worried about it. Like I rely on guys putting the ball in play and weak contact. So if I can just fill up the zone still and have them swing, then that'll be good.
Mm-hmm. Well, ironically, we had just talked about Jordan Pacheco, and last year he was like the poster child for anti-robo-umps. Not that he was campaigning, but there was a clip sometime last season where he gets a low and away. I think it was a breaking ball, low and away, probably missed outside, probably a little low, but apparently it clipped the robo zone for strike three. And that just went so viral, and everyone's like, we cannot do this. Because you watch the clip and you're like, that's nowhere near a strike. But, you know.
Yeah, it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting, especially with these guys at the higher levels, you know. Like the guys with big league time who are normally playing in AAA that are like fringe big leaguers, like it's gonna like they might not like it, or they might love it. I don't know. Like I wish I knew.
Yeah, that's the weird part about it. Like, there's absolutely no way robo umps are making the MLB. Like, as crazy as this is my words, as crazy as Monfort is, there's no way. There's just absolutely no way it makes it. So why are they messing around with it? And I think it's dumb. And
I would like to think that, but
yeah,
we don't really know what's going on with baseball.
No, his mind is crazy. Anyway, we're not going down that road. Fun questions. This is what we're talking about, Frank. Come on, man. What was your go-to favorite snack on that road trip to Arizona? That was fun to follow, by the way.
This was actually, so I had a lot of people drop in with the suggestions, which I appreciated. I love, they're called trolley eggs. I know they're kind of weird, but I posted a picture of them on my story, but they're like gummy worms, but they're in like little egg forms. And then like they're like the shell is like hard, but they're still chewy. So I don't know why I really like those. They're kind of like sweet tarts a little bit. So I like those. And then I got hooked on the pizza combos. My buddy Carl Coffin, one of our pitchers, he sent me that I needed to try pizza combos. So we tried pizza combos. And I think we really liked the garlic ones. So those were good.
Did you try all the flavors?
We tried garlic and pepperoni. There's something just a little off about pepperoni.
It's not real pepperoni.
Yeah, it's not, but it's not even like meat though. Like that's the kind of that kind of got me a little bit. But then we had some Takis. So some of the people that I played with in Mexico told me to try some Takis. Those are huge down in Mexico, and those are really good.
They're huge in a middle school classroom too.
Oh my gosh.
It's disgusting. They got the new blue ones. They got blue powder everywhere. It's absolutely nuts.
Next softball question. You a Kansas basketball fan or, mostly a baseball guy when you were there?
No, I am a diehard KU basketball fan. I love the KU basketball team. I've gotten very spoiled with the basketball teams that I cheer for because I'm a big Warrior fan too. So I've got the Warriors and KU, and those are all the basketball teams I need because they're both really good. But definitely KU basketball. KU football is tough. It's always been tough.
Definitely.
So,
and I'm a diehard KU basketball fan as well. My brother went there for a couple years, and so I was like, cool. It's a great reason to latch on to like a Royal athletic program, and I watch every game to this day. So
yeah, they're fun. I think we're pretty deep this year, so hopefully we'll be able to make a run.
Yeah, I hope that the post play can stay consistent. I feel like that's just always what holds these recent teams back. At least is like, can David McCormick stay on the court and not turn the ball over like 8 times, or he's like clapping the ball or whatever. But yeah, don't want to get too deep into basketball talk right now.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I love basketball.
Yeah.
Are they good this year? I have not followed it at all. I don't.
Yeah, they've been top 10 pretty much the whole year.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's no
first place the Big 12 still.
Yeah, I think they're running away with the Big 12. There's no real runaway team in college basketball this year. You have Gonzaga and Auburn who are really good, but it's like it's anyone's game. So it's going to be fun in March.
March Madness. All right.
Cool. Well, I guess one more Kansas connection. Are you familiar with Blake Goldsberry?
Yeah, so I don't know what it is about the Rockies, but they really like us.
Yeah,
us Jayhawks. And actually, I don't know if this is true, but like Chris Forbes, our farm director, was a Jayhawk. He played at KU, so there's ties all the way back to that. But I mean, yeah, we've had I think Blake pitched really well last year, so that was cool to see. I got to play with Matt McLaughlin, who I never played with at KU, but he went to KU, so that was fun. So just to see some of those guys, like it's always good to get your old college alum to see him in the pros is pretty cool.
Yeah, Goldsy is one of our guys also.
Nice.
He was fun. He's a fun guy. Good old Blake. Yeah, he's a big Kansas fan too. He went on record saying that they were going to win the championship, didn't he?
Yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
Last year. It was last year.
Was it last year?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
No, because it was after the start. That was mid-season, so he was calling it for March 22.
Okay. I guess I remembered it being that they were like top of the rankings, and it was like, are they going to do it? But maybe my timeline's off.
Yeah.
They got a good team this year. They do. They got a really good team this year. So I think they could do it, but like March Madness is exactly why it's named that, because you never know.
It is pretty fun to watch. I will watch the tournament. That's it though. We started with golf questions. We're gonna end it with the golf question. According to your socials, you are heavy into golf. It looks like your side girlfriend out there. What is your favorite golf shot?
My favorite golf shot?
Yeah.
Like,
do you
what
like
do
to
you
chip
mean?
it on? Do you like to drive it?
Okay.
Do you have a good golf shot that you like just recall?
I love golf. Golf doesn't love me. So that's the best way to describe that relationship. I like to putt. I think anytime I'm playing with people, I can make some big putts, which is fun. I've just gotten a little bit better with my driver. But my wedges still need work. It's like, it's one of those things. I like to, like, if you can sink like a pretty, like a 10-15 footer with a little bit of movement, a little bit of swing, I think that's always fun. And I always try to walk them in. If you're not walking them in when you know they're going in, then it takes all the fun out of it. I try to Kevin Na every single one. I hit it. I'm walking right after it. It's like, I know it's going in. Because if it goes in, then it looks sick. But if it doesn't, you're like, all right. I knew it wasn't going in, so I was walking after it.
I was just trying to stop it before it went down the hill more. That's usually my goal. Oh, I forgot this question. This is the last one, I promise. And then we'll get you out of here. What is your favorite all-time personal baseball moment? So like when you just were like, you're at the peak of your performance, or like that one baseball moment that you just will never ever forget and just kind of gives you good feely vibes.
That's a good question. I think there's been a few. It's all tough because like there's like you have different like when you're at different levels in your baseball career, you never know like when the next, like when you're something else, when the new one's going to take over. I think I can rank them by college. So when I was in college, I had a game against K-State my senior year where I think we had won like 6 Big 12 games in a row, and I was the Sunday starter, and we went into K-State needing to win or sweep them and stuff. And I got the ball on Sunday, and I threw a complete game. I think I had 130 pitches and like swept them. It was sick. In my professional career, I threw a no-hitter while I was in Sussex, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was even, I think it was a Maddox too. I think I threw like 89 pitches and
wow.
9 no-hitter, which that was as cool as, like, I remember that very well because like I made my last pitch, like there's kind of like it's starting to rain a little bit, and like it was a great play at like by third base to throw him out, and like that was insane. To throw a no-hitter was just crazy.
That's sweet.
Yeah. And then I think in my professional career, when I like getting the opportunity to play in the AAA All-Star game,
yeah,
we're coming from being a senior sign and not a high round draft pick, and like getting to like, I think I threw 1 inning. It was in Charlotte, which is an awesome place to go to a baseball game. If you go to Charlotte, go to a Charlotte Knights game. But I think I had like a 7 or 8 pitch inning, and I got out of there and I was like, "Phew, that was fun!" Like that was a good way to get in, get out.
Yeah, that's sweet. Do you remember anybody you faced?
I don't know. Travis Tyrone was a AAA guy for the Mets who was in that league. He had a lot of pop. Shoot. Other than that, I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't think there was any. I didn't face any like big league names.
Okay.
But I will say the starter for us was Jose Barrios, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And then Judge and Gary Sanchez was on that team too. That was cool. But
That's-
Judge hurt his knee, so he didn't go and play.
He's always hurt.
But it was cool. That was an unbelievable experience. So that's got to be up there for me too.
I love that. Those are great stories. Yeah, the Maddox hitter. I get like the way you were describing it. I can just see it. That's pretty cool. Love it. Frank, thanks for hanging out, man. This was fun.
Yeah, you're awesome, dude.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on. It was fun talking about baseball. I love baseball, so
Yeah. We'll catch up later, hopefully.
Yeah,
Get more thoughts on those robo umps, and we'll go from there. But we're rooting for you. We'll do all the publicity for you. We got you. All right.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. You guys have a good one. Have a good night.
Good night, Frank.
Take care, Frank.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching and listening. Please check out our link tree for more content.